Thank you for taking this time to breathe and listen to what can change your life forever. My name is Ragnar Zinikas, and I'm the founder of Starpreneur TV, How to Dominate the Decade talk show, World Women Conference and Awards, the creator of Coral Desk, the coach of the Changemakers, and co-author of the Dominate the Decade book. My mission is to empower through education, and thank you for joining us. Today, we have the honor to talk with the founders of the M21 Empowerment, April and Tuan. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome April and Tuan. So, guys, you are back and now together. Tell us your story together. Why M21? What does this name mean, and where does everything started?
Ladies first. Yeah, ladies first.
So it is a pretty cool story of how two people met living in two different places. So we have Tuan that's from Texas, who had just gotten out of prison. We have myself from Iowa, who didn't even cross paths at the certification that we went to for the John Maxwell team in Florida. So you have all these different people. We meet 2 days afterwards, and our friendship, the common ground, it just sparked from there. We knew within, a couple of days, we were just on to something bigger than us. It was one of those GPP moments, God's perfect plan, where there's no other way that all of this would have happened without a bigger divine purpose. And because of that, we became best friends. We started talking about what do people need, and we started. I was constantly seeing the number 21. I was doing 21-day challenges because I changed my life one 21-day challenge at a time. And before we knew it, we wanted to create a movement. We wanted to empower people, create a movement. And how do you do it? But 21 days at a time. Then we developed 21 skills that you need to really become the best badass version of yourself. That's my tagline. And through that, we just have taken one big leap, step, jump at a time. And a year and a half later, here we are creating, building, and continuing to create and build on a movement together.
Tuan, your version. It's like, the couples therapy. So, and your version about it.
Right. Everybody has two different versions of how everything started. So I got to give credit to April, in the beginning, just coming off of getting our certification at the John Maxwell IMC, which was one of those big moments where, got to speak and share the stage with, CEO Mark Cole in front of 3,000 coaches. That was a big moment for me. 104 days coming out of prison to share the stage. It was big for me because you speak about the power of having a vision and having clarity where you really have confidence in who you are. And not only that, your message, right? Your message, owning your story and being confident to tell your story, right? How powerful is that? And that's really where we connected, not in person, but I remember connecting with her afterwards on Facebook. And it was funny because I'll share this story. There was a picture of me, Mark Cole, Paul Marnelli, Roddy Galbraith, and Chris Robinson. And it was like a mentorship picture. We're all in suits and stuff. So I'm in the middle. I'm looking pretty good. I'm looking, all jazzed up. And I remember looking at that picture and someone said, "Hey, Tuan, you look like you should be in The Bachelor," right? The show The Bachelor, right? And at that time, I guess I was a bachelor in a sense, right? And it was funny because I was commenting back and forth with April. She responded to one of my paid Facebook posts, and she said something concerning that. So I sent her a bouquet of virtual roses, in the comments. And ever since then, we've become best friends. And I mean, we're still doing a lot of stuff. I'll let her talk more about that.
And I really want you to also tell us, you really briefly talked about your famous 3 C's. Let's keep that in mind, that throughout this this interview, we will touch that. So I think this is very powerful.
Absolutely.
Am I starting or what?
Next question, please.
This is kind of where I'm like, okay.
It's always how you take over. You know that we women need to we're here. Okay, let's do that. So April, for you, why building the community and especially empowerment is so important?
I think because it allows you to be confident, to take control of your own life. Empowerment is really taking back the power that sometimes you give somebody else because you think that they're supposed to write the story of your life, when in fact, you are the creator. You are supposed to empower yourself, inspire, motivate. Nobody's job that's nobody else's job but your own. And so I believe that empowerment is giving back the power that you should have already been taking control of. And then we just have created, M21, our co-ed group, movement, it's actually movement, but M21 empowerment for females. And it's not just females in general, but women that are ready to calm their inner and outer chaos, that are ready to fix their focus, one journey at a time, to really build the confidence, the clarity. That is really what empowerment is just getting to know who you are and who you're supposed to be.
Beautiful. And for you, Tuan,
what do you say there, Mr.
Why?
Tuan?
And can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, you see, this is the addiction to distraction. Why is building the community and empowering through that community is so important for you?
Right, and the reason why I say, can you repeat the question, is because somebody that came on like just now, I wanted them to hear the question. It wasn't because I was distracted or anything like that. So yeah, I did that on purpose, you guys. Hey, that's another tip. I always ask questions during these type of interviews. So if you guys are chiming in right now, but no, why is building the community so important? Me and April, we had the same vision. Like, we have powerful stories of where I went from prison to purpose, right? And I became so passionate and convicted by that message on creating leaders and making an impact. And I mean, that's the power of my story. Was I went through something, and then I came out, and now I'm that perfect tour guide. But I realized in the beginning that this vision, this dream that I had, was way bigger than me. I literally knew that in order for me to accomplish bigger and greater things like this, I would need to build a team. And I knew I couldn't do it on my own. And, then that's when me and April had that conversation, and we jumped and we did it afraid. We didn't know what the heck we were doing. I mean, honestly, looking back over a year and a half ago when we had that conversation of Movement 21, M21, we didn't have a clue what we were getting into. I mean, I wasn't taught how to be an entrepreneur in prison. I had street credibility. I knew how to sell and market myself in the streets. But when it came to putting things in a legal manner, those things weren't taught to me. So, when I partnered up with April, I'm like, let's just do it and we'll figure it out on the way. And that's how it all birthed.
We literally have. I mean, through failing forward. I mean, that's our biggest thing. We have failed forward so many times that we're able to now empower other people that have taken kind of the same leap. I mean, I literally pulled my credit card out and went to LegalZoom and became an LLC. And he's like, did you really just do that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a D personality. I'm dominant, direct, and driven. We're getting this done. This is what we said we were going to do.
Yeah.
And Tuan, you had no idea when you sent the virtual flowers that this is going to go like this, no?
Yeah, so I gotta be honest. It was, I just saw a pretty blonde girl on my feed, and I was like, you know what? But I didn't think nothing of it. I didn't know her story at that time. I just saw like this really pretty attractive white girl with blonde hair and blue eyes, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna send her a bouquet of roses, like I'm the Bachelor virtual. And the next thing you know, we got on a phone call, and man, we literally. How long were we on that phone call? I mean, it was like we were like little kids, little middle school
Literally
kids.
6+ hours. I mean, that of talking about like our stories, they're so different yet together. I mean, for those of you that really don't know, my story is I came from 18 years of addiction, divorce. Right after I had just went into recovery, 4 months later, my mom died of brain cancer. After that, I went through a very codependent marriage that was for 13 years. And it wasn't either of the faults, but you learn through your mistakes, and you realize that sometimes you just aren't that person anymore. And literally, I'll tell you, a 21-day challenge started by my father saying, April, you're starting to look like me. You got a big gut and no butt. And I thought, but chow, what did he just say to me? I was so lost within. I had stopped my addiction with drugs, but the new addiction was I was drinking myself into a hole because I was still dealing with pain that I wasn't willing to recognize. And then through that, I just started changing and leveling up. And then, we got on this phone call and we're sharing it's almost like combat stories of, hey, remember this and remember that. And we literally built a friendship from Texas and Iowa and built this business. And then he flew to Iowa for our big first M21 empowerment event. Our first big event, 21 people showed up. 21 people. Ironic, probably, that there was 21 people. But we kept building stages for ourselves. And because of that, we built our relationship. We built out relationships with other people. And people really started to see, you can do this no matter where you are. And so I feel like that's part of the empowerment, is showing others that you can do whatever you put your mind to.
What do you see? Are people joining those virtual groups because we are longing to belong? Or do we really, what have you ever asked, like, the feedback, why did you join? Or is it somehow that it's easier to actually talk with total stranger than with someone that you know, especially when you have problems, no? So it would be interesting to know why people, and they know that it's an empowerment. So what type of, do they look for empowerment? Do they want to empower others? Like, have you ever checked that background? Like, who do you have really in your community?
I can speak off on that. In the beginning, when we really got into building Facebook groups and started just exploring the virtual platform, a lot of these things weren't taught to us in the beginning. Like, we learned the hard way. Like, I've built several groups. I've been part of bigger groups where I've served on the dream team and actually help, monitor and moderate over like several thousand people in groups. And what I've learned from it is, man, you really have to be clear on your message of who you are and who you're bringing in. It's easy for someone to get invited to a group, but the power is in, how do I keep them engaged? I mean, just think about what's going on right now. Everybody's creating Facebook groups. Everybody's trying to monetize and build membership groups. I mean, everybody's doing it. And so I'm literally in hundreds of groups now. But how do I choose which group to really tune in on and tune out? Because reality, I'm not going to be effective being involved with every single thing. And then you, as a leader of the group, what do you got to do to really keep your people engaged? And there's a lot of strategies behind it that we didn't learn in the beginning. And now we're just really adding that to our coaching. Like, in the beginning, I thought I was more leadership speaker, coach, trainer. But now I'm realizing that the greater need along with leadership is helping coaches and consultants and aspiring influencers to learn how to navigate on social media. Because there's no more physical space to really operate in now. We have to adapt. And then I think for me and April is, when we talk about empowerment, what are you empowering people to do? And I had this conversation with April last night. I see one of the greatest needs that I run across each and every single day is the need to really learn how to engage and build and scale on social media. So then I started learning more about that. And now I'm focused more on like, how do I combine personal branding and leadership together now? Because I got the leadership dynamic down. I got the communication part down. How do I tie that in together and turn that into personal branding for your leadership, personal branding for your communication, personal branding and social media strategies all together? That's where I'm at now.
And when you communicate, how do you communicate? What is the problem that you solve, in a sense that when I'm new and I'm seeing, wow, I think I know what empowerment means, so I will check out this group. So what do you think? What is so appealing in your message that people get hooked with that?
April, you want to take a dive at it before I go off the wagon?
Well, I would just, an overview is, I think people join a group not for really what the group is called. I'll be honest with you. People join groups because of the faces of the group, of who they connect to, of really, my child decided to walk in at that exact moment. Yeah. So, I mean, they really join for the faces, because they're looking at someone to be able to lead them. And when they really have gotten to know Tuan and I, they realize that what we say is what we stand on. We have that loyalty, consistency, we bring clarity, even though at times, there's not always a clear vision, because we still are figuring it out, because that's what life is all about. You're constantly figuring it out. But we just bring this dynamic together that people are intrigued by. And, Tuan's a great communicator. I have learned, I don't say this often because his head would get really big, but he's like my mini mentor when it's really come to like that speaking lane, because I speak more from an emotional spot, and he is very good at, being able to quote things and reference back to that. And sometimes we get caught in that comparison game. And I know that's not really going off of that empowerment part, but it's part of what we're teaching as empowerment is, don't compare. Authenticity, really has no comparison. So I know he's going to take that on a tangent, but really, I mean, people are attracted to us because of our personalities and because of really what we bring to a group.
I think they like the Asian guy with the blonde girl. So the Asian guy with the white girl combination,
inclusion, yeah,
side by side. Like, one of the questions that we used to always, everybody used to be like, man, I wonder if they got something else going on besides being business partners. And I'm not going to go into that. That's probably not the time. But yeah, just the collaboration. When we're able to go back and forth like that, people like that. And here's the thing. What's so cool about it is authenticity is the greatest connecting piece that you can have. And when you can really be genuine in operating in that, people love that, because you're relatable. When she talks about her addiction, when I talk about me going to prison, not once, not twice, but 3 times, like, people are like, whoa, I would have never thought that. But it's the power of my story. Like, I'm a tour guide now. I'm not a travel agent. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you about a place that I've never been to. And there's a lot of people that have gone to prison in a physical place, but in their minds, in their self-limiting beliefs, they're in their own prison. And I can speak to that. But no one knows that. And so I think in the beginning, what really has helped us propel in that first year is, man, it's one thing for us to try to impress you with our success, but the power of impacting you with our failures, with our stories, like that right there has really been a game changer for us, because it connects so many people, and it shows the real Tuan. It shows the real April, Hawley, We're humans. We're just like you.
I mean, it's so true. I mean, I couldn't ask one. I mean, we fight, we argue over business. This is the reality, especially with our personalities. But it's part of this growing, and we share that with our group. We share our struggles. We share our frustrations. We want them to learn from our mistakes so that they're able to grow and become better leaders. Because that's what it's all about, is kind of just growing together, and showing that's empowerment, is you figuring it out and empowering others to take the lead and lead with their own groups.
Yeah.
So what do you see for future? What the future will bring for the M21 empowerment?
Good question. Good question. I'll go ahead and speak on that. I realized that in the beginning, in order for you to become more valuable as a coach, you got to make yourself more valuable. That's why me and April always say every coach has a coach. And if you're not working with a coach right now and you're a coach, then my question to you is, who's challenging you right now? Who's pouring into you? Who's calling out your blind spots? Because we all have blind spots, and a blind spot is an area of our lives that we can't see. And what happens is, if I'm not getting coached and people are not calling me out on my blind spots, what I end up doing in building my community is I'm going to build a community that is susceptible to blind spots. That's the environment that I end up creating, because I don't model that, but I'm trying to mentor something else. And you see how powerful that is when we get to speak from that. So I'll kind of give you an idea of what I'm doing right now as April's building her group. We have 2 thriving communities, and we've literally, I've had some points in my life where it was like trying to resurrect a dead horse. That's what I call it, right? And so here's the thing. Like, if you're riding on a dead horse and the horse is no longer riding, get off the horse. Sometimes you just can't resurrect things that are dead. And the reason why I say that is, in order to build a successful group, if you bring in the wrong type of people, you're going to have a very dead and inactive community. I didn't know that in the beginning. I thought playing the numbers game was going to increase my influence. And I realized, man, we used to do all these competitions and contests, and we grew our group like to 600, 700 real fast. And then next thing you know, everybody was like, where's everybody at? Well, they just wanted all the free stuff. They wanted all the free stuff. And even now I'm realizing that there's some things that I need to add to my plate. Outside of leadership and communication, which is my jam, I'm naturally pretty good at that, but I want to add some more tools. And that really was a process of really refining my niche as the year went by. Even with April, I know she can attest to that. I have to tell her every single day, I'm like, hey, focus on your women's group. Focus on your women's group and allow me to nurture our group together. And the only way we're going to become more valuable is we add more tools to us. We add more from coaching. So, April?
Well,
What?
it's all true. I mean, honestly, part of building the group was, you have to realize that when you take 2 different personalities, and anybody that has ever really, I won't go into it, but done a DISC assessment or a personality, there's the D, S, I, C, and I'm a very D personality, and he's a very high I. And so when you go into business or trying to run groups, a dominant person wants to be able to know what's going on and always being in the loop. When you have a high I that's like, every day's a party and let's go have fun, it doesn't always work. But we have figured out ways that we can communicate. We argue, we hang up, we call each other back, we figure it out. It's kind of part of the process. It's what we make work. But it's true, is he really wants to take our M21 co-ed group into a direction, not that I'm not comfortable with, it's that it's out of some of the wording that I use. And so sometimes you have to release maybe some of that control. And I've really poured into our M21 female empowerment group, which what I did was to really grow that is I brought on a wide variety of coaches that now we deal with health, we deal with mind and mindset and clarity, financial freedom, growing with spiritual growth and personal branding. Because if you think about it, all 5 of those areas can change and redirect your entire life. So you may not be a business coach. Well, then you wouldn't necessarily hop in on the weeks that we're talking about financial freedom, but you can get involved in such a variety of different areas that it's really become an empowerment group, that it's empowering yourself to take control of the life that you desire and that you want to design. And that's really what I've kind of realized in running a group together is that you have to bring on a dream team. You cannot do it alone. So if you think that you're going to be able to build a group, run it by yourself, it's mentally draining and it's not feasible for yourself. So you have to pair up and you have to kind of trade stuff off. But that's part of the learning curve, and that's part of what we're doing together that's really pushing us forward. And I think it's been a great growth. I mean, think about how much we've learned in a year and a half, where most people, they'll say, I want to do something, but they'll sit there for 6 months saying, I want to do something. We're kind of the type that will say we want to do something. We have no idea what that's going to look like. We jump and we just keep building each step of the way, and we fail forward figuring it out. And I actually love it. I mean, it's scary at times because you're like, oh, I don't know what that looks like. Or, oh, we just spent money that doesn't really, we spent the money. How do we make the best out of this? It's all part of the process. It's part of growing. Don't stay stuck. Don't stay where you are and expect a different result. You got to just keep jumping.
So thank you, everybody who has joined us. We have quite a few people from India. Thank you. It's in the middle of the night. Thank you for staying up for
India.
us.
Hey, thank you.
India, I'm international right now.
From UK, thank you for joining us. From Estonia, and obviously here from US and Mexico. So before I ask the question, the traditional question, but there is a little tweak, obviously.
Come on, Rainy.
So your 3 recommendations, how to dominate the decade, but in a tweet that how to dominate the decade as an entrepreneur that wants to grow their community online. So you have a little time to prepare. So, and everybody, which you are, whether you are watching from Facebook or whether you're here, leave us your questions, comments, recommendations, whatever you want to share with us. That's the best time to do it now. And let me see if well, whoever wants to start.
Go ahead, Tuan.
No, ladies first. I'm writing.
Dominating your decade is really, it's part of what I'll say it again, because I said it in my first interview. It is literally calming your inner and outer chaos. Whether you're an entrepreneur, you're a coach, you've got to get very clear on what you're trying to do, the message that you're trying to give. I think at first people tend to say, I want to be a coach and I want to be a speaker, and they truly don't realize the hard work and the hours that you're putting in behind the scenes. So I think, determination, clarity, those things, they're not really something that we haven't heard about, but it's something that you have to apply to dominate your decade. You can say how much you want something, but are you clear in your message? Are you showing up for you when you're saying that you're going to do something, which is the follow through? You have to follow through. Commitment, clarity, bringing your confidence. I mean, you may not be confident but you can sure the heck pretend to be confident because nobody else is going to know but you that you're not. So you just have to believe in your dream. You have to keep pushing forward. And this social media part, it's true. You do have to brand yourself. I believe that Tuan and I have branded ourselves with our faces, which sounds crazy, but that's why we use our pictures so much, is because people are attracted and they want to know, like, and trust you, and they do business with you. So you dominate your decade by making sure that you're making a statement, you're clear, you're consistent, and that you show up. So.
Whoa. Well, thank you, April Hawley, for sharing that valuable content there. Thank you. Thank you. Y'all give her some hearts for that. I wrote this down because I wasn't expecting that question from you. So hear me out. Our mentor, John Maxwell, says that everything rises and falls on leadership. I find that to be true because the way you lead yourself is how people will brand you. Okay. So if you guys don't think that leadership is important, hands down, leadership is essential for everything that you do. Yeah, you might not lead a big team, but the way you lead yourself, how well you lead yourself is how people will brand you. And I'm talking about leadership and communication. Those are the two things right now. If I could just suggest that will add so much value to you is increasing in effective communication. Because everybody has a message. Everybody is working towards a brand. And how crucial is it now with the age of social media for you to work on leadership, communication, so that you can learn how to properly brand yourself? I love Amazon founder CEO Jeff Bezos. What he said was, branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room. What are they saying about Tuan and April when they're not in the room? Right? And I love adding this dynamic too, is if people are not saying anything about you, then you have a branding problem. Whatever your product or service is, no one knows what you do. You don't have a core statement. You don't have clarity in your message of who you are and what you do and who you're helping. Let me give you an example of some great influencers that have great branding messages. Let's talk about, President Donald Trump. Whether you like him or not, it doesn't matter. Here's his core message that he stands to every single day. Make America great again. You see how simple that is? That's branding. That's branding. And a lot of people don't like him. And a lot of people are diehard fans and supporters of him. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you say about him. He's going to stick with that same message. Make America great again. He's never going to falter away from that because he sticks to his brand. He's not, when opposition and criticism comes, it doesn't faze him because he's convicted and he's passionate about make America great again. Let me give you another classic example of great branding. Russell Brunson from ClickFunnels. His branding is this: you're only one funnel away. You're only one funnel away. There's 3 billion people on social media right now. What's going to set you apart in this next season is branding, clarity on your message, getting out there and being bold. When you're asked to get on an interview, take those opportunities. Put makeup on, spray perfume on if you need to become confident. And I'll wrap it up with this. Raggedy, because we used to do that in the beginning when we had virtual platforms. We'd be like, hey, everybody grab your perfume and influencer spray, and we'll have everybody. It's not like you can actually smell me, but it's the whole picture of, hey, I want to be confident. Let me spray some of this on.
I did right before this interview. True story. I do it every time.
I did it, but I did put on deodorant last night, and it's still working. Okay, but okay. So here, let me wrap it up. Okay, we're gonna in order to dominate the decade, and I'm gonna really speak in that social media space because that's one of the greatest needs right now for a lot of people is they don't know how to operate on social media, right? So they're failing fast and they're failing often and they're not failing forward. First thing before you begin is you have to really define your message. Define your message. Number one is clarity. What's my message? It needs to be simple. I gave you some examples like Make America Great Again. You're only one funnel away. Grant Cardone, his message is what? Are you ready to 10X? I mean, what's your core message right now? And until you get that simplified and get clarity on that, you can never move into the next phase of confidence. Confidence. So clarity comes first if you want to dominate the decade under circumstances, right? Clarity. What's my vision? Where am I going? And who's coming with me? I got to define that. Otherwise, I'm going to be all over the place. 2 is going to go into the area of confidence. How do I become confident in who I am, owning my story, learning how to tell it, because that's part of my brand now, but I'll never get there without the first part, clarity. And then we're going to move into the phase 3, consistency. How are you showing up every single day for your people? Right? I watch Ragni every single day show up and show out. And it doesn't matter who's watching or not. She's determined, she's convicted, she's passionate about doing this. And you know what that does for me when I see her do that? I become a believer of what she's doing because of that passion that she has. I might not be convicted by what she says, but I'm convicted by her pursuit. And I see that, and I'm like, you know what? I want to be like that. I want to be like Ragni, because she shows up and she shows out and she's consistency. And what that does for your followers, when you bring consistency, it gives them security.
Reliability.
Are you giving your people? Yeah, reliability. Everybody wants someone that they can count on. Can I count on you to show up? And then those 3 C's right there, you know what's gonna equate to? It's gonna equate to conversion. Right? It's gonna equate to conversion. And what I mean by that is when you show up with clarity, when you show up with confidence, and then when you show up with consistency, you're gonna get conversions. And what I mean by conversions is you're gonna build a following that's gonna stay loyal to you because of those 3 C's right there. And whether you want to count conversions as monetizing, you can do it like that too. But the main thing is, here's what I want you to understand. Don't sell some people on a task or a product. Sell them on a vision. Bring them along with you on the journey. Let your vision be part of their vision too. That's how you build a faithful, committed following.
Amen.
I could not agree more.
Let's see. We had some questions here. I think Jaya from India, she missed the first part. What does M21 stands for?
April?
I answered it the first time. Go ahead. I answered it the first time.
Well, we can go a 1,000 ways. So 21 signifies, it was inspired, especially for me, was when my first book from John Maxwell was 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Okay. That's when I started realizing that the power of 21 laws, and I started investing in those laws, and it transformed my life. But then we thought about 21 laws of empowerment, and then April loves the word 21. So we thought about the power of 21-day challenges. And not only that, my birthday, shout out 121. So yeah, when 121, you got to mark that on your calendar. I will follow up on that.
Do not send him presents.
I love presents. 121. Don't forget it. Movement 21, empowerment, 21 laws of empowerment. That's my birthday. But yeah.
And changing your life 21 days at a time. I mean, just think about it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's really where it sparked from, was, the power of 21 laws of empowerment, home of the 21-day challenge, forming healthy habits through 21 days. And so that's really what sparked it. But we wanted to create a movement. And the word movement came from what I often talk about is there's no such thing as a mass movement, okay? There's no such thing as a mass movement. What happens is God gives a man or a woman with a vision. And with that vision, if you walk in it, there will be provision. And if you walk in it, God will provide people to rise up and follow you because of that contagious spirit, because you're so fired up that people are like, man, I want some of that. I don't believe exactly what Tuan's saying, but his conviction is what I want, and he believes what he's talking about. So I'm gonna at least listen. So yeah, I mean that's the beginning journey of Movement 21 there. Next question, please.
April and Tuan, what are each of your top 3 items on your personal bucket list?
Whoa.
So,
Pass.
so it's not necessary. So it's not like the top 3 like that I'm just thinking, but so this is I part of my goals are, because everybody knows me, I'm a badass gold digger, is I strive for, of course, having a badass body. So part of my top 3 bucket list is to have some ripped out abs, because it shows self-discipline, and that's part of who I am. Is I do really hard things so that other people can keep doing them. Like right now I'm hitting 129 days of a 100-day commitment of not drinking. It's one of those challenging things that, not because I can't not drink, it's because I love challenging myself. But number 2 is to be on a stage of 5,000 plus women, all women, sharing a story of how this all started. These are the defining moments right here. People will look back at these interviews and they'll say, she said it, on that day. What is today? May 12th, 2020, that she'll speak in front of 5,000 people. There is not a doubt in my mind that I will not replicate or be like a Rachel Hollis on there, sharing and empowering my story. And 3 is traveling the world to see what is all out there. I go to Mexico every year on vacation for being in the top percentage of my company. But it's these bucket lists that, I mean, I could go on, I could show you an entire vision board, but it's really just doing anything that pushes me out of my comfort zone and to help me be a better person, leader, mother. That's really what pushes me every day.
So I don't know if Tuan was making notes out of your answers or he was writing his. So be careful. He has them.
Right. So
yes.
So, I have a picture from like 2009 where I'm like super ripped up, super beach body. I'll just go ahead and just hold on to that, April, and, cut out all the extra work that you're going to be doing. So I'll just post that up later in my story and just show you the 6-pack that I have from 2009.
That was supposed to be the other call.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll save that for another call. Disregard I said any of that. Okay. But yeah, that's a great question. You said, what are the 3 things on our personal growth and development bucket list?
Bucket list, yeah.
Yeah. So at the top, I want to be recognized as the #1 transformational impact coach in the world. And let me tell you why. Because there's no such thing as a transformational impact coach right now. And you see how that's part of branding? Is what's going to set you apart. Because since my life was transformed, now I'm living a life of impact. And you see, that's why one of our trigger words is impact culture. Impact culture. So transformational impact coach, #1 in the world. Your boy's on the way. But not only that, I'm the only one anyway. So who do I have to compete with? No one. I compete with myself every single day. So you see how powerful that is? To just operate in that confidence where you can say, hey, I'm the #1 transformational impact coach in the world. But that's what I want to be known by. So I operate in that bucket list. Man, I want to have, there's 96 prisons right now that don't have leadership development programs. And since I came from that culture, God reminds me a lot, never forget where you came from. Because sometimes I have to ask myself, where am I going to add the most value in this world? And it's easy for me to forget where I came from because what I'm chasing. And so looking back, I had to kind of cross something out when I was writing things down. I want to build transformational leaders inside every single prison in the United States. I don't know what that looks like. But that's one of my biggest personal growth development bucket lists is how do I use my story? How do I use the gift that God gave me to transform as many lives as possible so that they can live an impact just like me and April are doing? Next, I want to have 100K month. I want to make 100Ks in a month. And I don't know what that looks like, but I'm on my way. But those are my top 3 right there.
I have by age 43 millionaire status, not necessarily in dollars, but being financially free. I have this vision. You look at my vision board and you be like, dang girl, you on fire. Like that vision board is on target. I love it.
We have another question. What are your most important daily rituals?
Oh my gosh. So I'll just start first because I teach this to every one of my coaching clients, and that is to master your morning. You must meditate and have prayer every single morning. You need to get up an hour early. You need to do the important things. So prayer and meditation, daily affirmations. You need to create affirmations that tell you the good and positive things about yourself. You need to have your thoughts in there. You need that vision board. That is key to get up and look at your vision every single day. So your brain is automatically in the background knowing the decisions I make today, they're pushing me closer to my goals. You need to exercise a minimum of 30 minutes every single day. That doesn't mean you're running miles. That means you're moving your body to motivate yourself 30 minutes a day. You need to be scribing, which is journaling your thoughts, your goals, your ambitions, your emotions. Emotional control, by the way, is key to all of this self-development. If you can't check your emotions, then you're not going to be able to lead with impact. And last, you need to be reading personal development. You need to be reading inspiring things every day to grow your knowledge, because that is what's going to be able to impact other people. So that is what I do every single day to master my morning.
Tuan?
Kind of hard to follow up after that. Master your morning. No, so be intentional. You have to have a personal growth plan. I'm gonna give you guys 2 questions that I live by. Is number 1, what am I doing to develop myself? All right, you guys can write that down. What am I doing to develop myself? And 2, what am I doing to develop others? All right. So the number 1 thing in my daily ritual is I have to continue to add value to myself if I expect to be able to add value to the next person. I can't transfer something that has never been developed. There are no shortcuts in personal development. The reason why is when I get placed on a platform where I haven't been developed, I will get exposed because I haven't been prepared. So preparation, practice, reflection. That's what you got to do. So I want you guys to, like for me, I focus on 2 areas. And sometimes I struggle with focusing on too many areas. But let's just say I want to become a better speaker, right? Every day you should focus 1 hour in the area of skill set that you want to improve on. So if you claim to be a speaker, how often are you speaking every single day? On the other end is an area of choice. I got this from John Maxwell and I love it because he says, man, to focus on 2 things. Focus on 2 things. Focus on your strengths and not your weaknesses. So many people focus on their weaknesses and not focusing on their strengths. You have to first identify what your strengths are first. And quit frustrating yourself trying to be everything to everybody else. Like you were created to do that one thing. And then you acquire skills in the process. Find out what your gift was made for. Find the problem, become the solution, right? So preparation, practice, reflection, okay? The second part is choice. One thing that I need to work on in my daily life is patience in dealing with my emotions. April gets the behind the scenes VIP treatment of how I had these emotional roller coasters sometimes, right? So those are 2 areas that I want to work on daily. Focus on one area skill in the other area of choice. Make your growth plan intentional. And let me add this too. Get yourself in a group. Get yourself in a group. As your team, I mean, here's the thing. As the challenges escalate, the need for teamwork and accountability must elevate. I understand you have a dream, but how big is it? Because the bigger the dream, the bigger the team and the more accountability you're going to need. The reason why staying in accountability groups are so important is a commitment that is not made public is worthless. Let me say
That's
that one
why
more
I
time.
always do that. I love that, Tuan.
Let me say that one more time because somebody needs to hear this. A commitment that you make not public is worthless because you can tap out and quit every single time and no one will ever know. But when you get in a group and you share a commitment publicly, like right now, what happens is you're held to that standard now. And if you have an environment or a group that's supportive of you, they're going to challenge you, they're going to encourage you, and they're going to push you to stay committed to that. Because a shared commitment is a strong commitment. Stay accountable in being in groups with people that are ahead of you. All right?
I have to agree that I think that one of the main reasons why so many people are stuck in their lives is that they break the promises that they give themselves every single day. And they think they can get away with it. What they do not realize is that you're going to be in that circle doing this. I'm thinking, why I'm back in the same spot?
People say, why do you share so much on social media? It isn't that I'm sharing because it's social media. It's because when you put it out there, it's hard to retract what you're saying. It holds you to a different level of accountability. You know, I've done 100-day challenges. I've done 90-day challenges. I show up on my Insta stories and my Facebook stories every day talking about gold diggers, pimp juice. Here I am on the day 129. People know that when I make a commitment, I'm going to follow through, which then allows them to want to follow me or Tuan because they know we're holding true to the words that are spoken out of our.
And the last question, what are the Movement 21 objectives for 2021?
What's that? I couldn't hear you.
What are the Movement 21 objectives for 2021? Your goals for 2021.
Man, that's a girl, you asking some hard questions. You're getting real personal today.
Those are from the chat.
I didn't sign up for all this.
Goals for 2021
I push you to actually think, no?
They don't try to challenge me on social media live right now. You're gonna call me out like that.
I love it. I think it's great. It makes people stop and think. But I mean, this is let me just tell you, if you're building a business, you should be having these business plans really, coming together. And a business plan is, you want to see your group grow in numbers, but you want to grow in profitability. And we always try to start out small, saying, we want blank amount of, and I'm just trying not to be too specific or whatever, but a certain amount of coaching clients, a certain amount of group coaching clients. And I think that's what really has been pushing us is we challenge each other because he gets some coaching clients and he's like, well, there's another coaching client. I'm like, oh, really? Like, well, let me tell you what I did today. But we challenge each other. I mean, the movement, the empowerment, the M21, we just want to be known on such a larger scale. And you're going to see part of that when October rolls around, and you're going to see more and more of the Powerful Women Summits, because I know that may change just because of COVID. I'm not letting that stop us. But that is an all women's conference that we're holding, but Tuan's the MC. That's what a different type of movement is his personality, myself empowering women. I mean, that's going to be part of M21 is Powerful Women Summits. being able to create our own stages. Just because people aren't booking us for theirs does not give us permission just to sit back and be like, oh, well, we don't have nothing to do. No, we create our own stages because that's what real entrepreneurs do. They don't just sit back and wait for opportunity. They create their own opportunity. And that's what M21 will do all of 2021, because that's our number. That's our rock star number, 21. So.
Well, since you said that, maybe growing our group to 2,100 people in the next month. No, I'm just kidding. That's
in the next, by 2021. That's so possible.
It's definitely possible. No, I think for me, Ragni, it's piggybacking off April. We had these big dreams of really hosting a lot of summits and events, and when COVID came in, like it was like that disruption alert. Like everything that we had planned, we had this big summit that was in what was it? Was it in May?
March. No, it was March.
And literally, like everything went to a halt. And so we had to learn how to shift. And so even right now, we're having those hard conversations now that you guys don't see about where are we going? Where are we going in this next wave, in this next season? As we just constantly are redefining or refining who we are as coaches. How do we work on bettering our community? And I mean, I don't have all the answers for that right now, because we're in the phase right now because of the pandemic on now we have to shift. And so I got to be honest, like we're still working that out right now on what's our next step, because the new norm is probably going to be something different from what we thought about maybe 5 or 6 months ago.
Well, I think that the key is also that a lot of people who do have the communities, they don't have those 3 C's with them. So I'm pretty sure that whoever John sent the questions, the mindset behind that was that even if you just have in a sense a community, you need to have the plan, and you need to have the action plan for what the future will bring. So I think it's a very good point here. What if people want to join you, the M21, how they can find you, and is there any process that you accept people? How does this dynamics work?
Well,
yes.
we are. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Ladies first.
I was just going to give our website, which is www.m21empowerment.com. You can find resources, our talks on there, a lot of specialty for our coaching on there as well. And then, of course, our Facebook group, which I believe I tagged it below, but I'll also put the female group in there. So there's tons of ways to get connected with us. Usually you'll see our kind of faces everywhere.
Yeah, whatever she said. Whatever she. Hey, as a matter of fact, I got, so yeah, you can find us on Facebook. We have www.m21 Empowerment Group. We both have Instagram too. Not as active on IG, but yeah, you can find me at Impact Coach, and you can find April Hawley as She Is Powerful, right? Mm-hmm. But hey, I want to gift everybody that's on the call today too. So I'm actually, I'm really big on creating content. And so I realized that after a call last night about social media branding do's and don'ts, I realized that everybody wants good content. Like they want people to engage with them. So I've been really doing a lot of case studies on good content, thought-provoking engagement posts. So what I want to do right now, just for everybody that's just tuning in live or just on the call, I'm going to give you guys 50 killer content ideas to create engaging posts. I'll drop that in not only the live feed, but I'll send that to Ragni too. But yeah, it's 50 killer content ideas that I kind of put together just from months of just exploring different engagement posts that's really worked for me, that you guys can take and make it your own. And I think it's great. And I mean, I'm giving it away. For free.
So thank you everybody for joining us. I hope you had fun, but most of all, I hope it was valuable for you and it was worth of your time. So, as you know, the consistency, I'm going to be here tomorrow at the same time. And until Friday and next week, and who knows until when, how long this will continue. But we are here to support you. We are here to add value to your life. And I think that you did pick up some golden nuggets today from all and everything which was shared, especially the 3 C's. Should do the exam if you wrote them down and if you studied them, and the most important part is that you need to apply them as well, not just think about them and write it down, but really take action on them. And nothing, absolutely nothing, comes without work. You need to put the time and you need to put the effort in order to change your life and get the results that you really want. Anything, guys, that you want to add before we close the session?
Just thank you so much for always being very consistent.
Hey, John, thanks for all the questions, bud. I just want to say this just to kind of cap it off. Hey, learn how to be authentic. Like, you saw what me and April did. Like, we didn't hold anything back. We didn't hold anything back. It didn't always have to be a script. Like, we knew what we're gonna bring to the table. But we know that the power is in authenticity. Okay. So learn how to be you. Show up to the world and be who God created you to be.
Amen all day.
And those are the final words. Amen. Have a beautiful day. And again, if you heard something that can change your life, then take action on that. And don't forget to share this video, because by doing that, you can become the hero of someone else's life. And you never know when you're able to change someone's destiny. So it doesn't take you a lot. It's just one click away from a better life. Did you write down that? So
only one click away.
Just one click away from better life. So do it. Be the hero of your life and be the hero of someone else's life. And I see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for your time and for your dedication. Oh.